The day Emma almost didn't share her lunch started like any other ordinary Tuesday. Gray clouds hung low over the city, and the streets felt heavier than usual, as if everyone was carrying something unseen on their backs. Emma had no idea that one small decision, made in a quiet moment, was about to change her life in ways she could never have planned. Sometimes, the biggest turning points don't come with loud warnings or dramatic signs. They come disguised as simple choices. A sandwich. A stranger. A moment to look up instead of looking away. Before we dive into this story, take a second to support Kindness Story Hub. If stories like this touch your heart, please subscribe, like the video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us keep spreading real stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be. Emma was 28 years old, living in a small apartment in downtown Chicago. She worked as a medical billing assistant at a local clinic, a job that paid the bills but didn't leave much room for extras. Her days followed a steady routine: wake up early, catch the bus, work 8 hours, then head home exhausted but grateful to have a job at all. That Tuesday, Emma had packed her lunch like she always did. A turkey sandwich, an apple, and a small bag of chips. Nothing fancy, but it was enough. Money had been tight lately. Her rent had gone up, her car needed repairs, and her savings were shrinking faster than she liked to admit. She told herself to be careful, to hold on to what little she had. On her lunch break, Emma decided to walk to the small park across the street from her office. It was one of the few places downtown where you could sit on a bench and almost forget about traffic and deadlines. She found an empty spot near a tree and unwrapped her sandwich, enjoying the brief quiet. That's when she noticed the woman sitting on the bench across from her. The woman looked to be in her late 50s, maybe older. Her coat was thin and worn, clearly not warm enough for the chilly weather. Her hair was tangled, and her hands shook slightly as she clutched a paper cup. She wasn't asking anyone for money. She just sat there, staring at the ground, as if trying to make herself invisible. Emma felt that familiar tug in her chest. The one that whispered, "You should help." And just as quickly, another voice answered back, "You can't help everyone. You barely have enough for yourself." Emma tried to focus on her sandwich, but her appetite faded. She glanced around and noticed how people walked past the woman without slowing down. Some looked uncomfortable. Others pretended not to see her at all. Then the woman looked up. Their eyes met for just a second, but it was long enough. There was no anger in the woman's gaze. No expectation. Just a quiet tiredness that seemed deeper than hunger. Emma hesitated. She thought about her budget, her rent, her car. She thought about how this lunch was supposed to last her until dinner. But she also thought about her mother, who had raised her with one simple rule: if you can help, you help. Before she could talk herself out of it, Emma stood up and walked over. "Hi," she said softly, holding up her sandwich. "I was wondering if you'd like to share lunch with me." The woman blinked, clearly surprised. For a moment, Emma worried she had offended her. Then the woman's eyes filled with tears. "Yes," she said quietly. "Thank you. That would mean a lot." Emma sat down beside her and handed over half of her sandwich. She offered the apple too, but the woman shook her head. "Save that for later," she said. "You're kind, but you shouldn't go hungry." They ate in silence for a minute. Then the woman introduced herself as Linda. She told Emma she had once worked as a home health aide, caring for elderly patients. She loved the job, but when she got sick and missed too much work, she lost it. Medical bills piled up. Rent fell behind. One bad break turned into a long fall. "I didn't think this would ever be me," Linda said, staring at the pavement. "You don't plan for this. It just happens." Emma listened. She didn't interrupt or offer advice. She just listened, and somehow that seemed to matter as much as the food. When lunch break ended, Emma stood up, unsure of what else to do. She reached into her bag and pulled out a napkin. "Thank you for sharing your story with me," she said. "I hope things get better soon." Linda smiled, a real smile this time. "You already made today better," she said. "More than you know." Emma went back to work, her stomach still a little empty, but her heart strangely full. She didn't tell anyone about what she'd done. It felt personal, like a quiet promise between two strangers. Weeks passed, life went on, as it always does. Emma dealt with bills, stress, and long commutes. Some days she wondered if that small act of kindness even mattered in the grand scheme of things. The world still felt heavy. Problems didn't magically disappear. Then one Friday afternoon, Emma's manager called her into the office. Her heart dropped. She assumed the worst. Budget cuts had been rumored for months. Instead, her manager smiled. "We're expanding the department," she said. "And we'd like to offer you a new position. It comes with a significant raise and full benefits." Emma felt dizzy. She could barely process the words. A raise meant breathing room, stability, hope. She walked out of the building later that day, still in a daze. She decided to stop by the park. She wanted a moment to herself, a place to sit and let the news sink in. That's when she saw Linda again, but this time, Linda looked different. Her hair was neatly pulled back. She wore a clean coat and held a folder in her hands. When she saw Emma, her face lit up. "Emma," she called out, standing up. "I was hoping I'd see you." Emma smiled, surprised and happy. "You look great," she said honestly. Linda laughed, a sound full of life. "I feel great. I got into a transitional housing program." And she held up the folder. "I start a new job next week. Back in home care." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "That's amazing," she said. "I'm so happy for you." Linda took Emma's hands. "I need you to know something," she said. "The day you shared your lunch with me, I was ready to give up. I felt invisible, worthless. But you saw me. You reminded me I still mattered." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small card. "A woman at a church nearby saw us talking that day. She came over after you left and told me about a program that could help. That one moment started everything." Emma shook her head in disbelief. "I just shared my lunch." Linda smiled. "You shared your kindness. And that's bigger than you think." They hugged, right there in the park, two lives briefly intertwined by a simple act of compassion. That night, as Emma lay in bed, she thought about how close she had come to walking away that day. How easy it would have been to keep her lunch to herself and stay comfortable. No one would have blamed her, but kindness doesn't always announce its impact. Sometimes it moves quietly, planting seeds we may never see grow. Emma started carrying extra snacks in her bag after that. Not because she felt obligated, but because she wanted to be ready. Ready to see people. Ready to choose kindness when the moment came. And Linda? She went on to help others, using her own story to remind people that a hard chapter doesn't mean the whole book is ruined. The world can feel cold and overwhelming. We're often told to look out for ourselves first, to guard what we have. And sometimes that's necessary. But this story reminds us that even when we feel like we have little to give, what we offer from the heart can come back in ways we never expect. Kindness doesn't require wealth or perfection. Sometimes, it's just half a sandwich and the courage to care. If this story moved you, let it remind you that your small actions matter. A smile, a listening ear, a simple gesture of generosity. You never know whose life you might change or how your kindness might find its way back to you. Let's keep spreading compassion, one small moment at a time.